everyone. My name's Anna. I am here for the next hour to drink, eat some more, drink, and then maybe do some talking. So, I just got finished watching the best presentation by Sherry Kephart. She was on for an hour and she gave inspirational quotes. I don't know how I could possibly top what she did. So I want to show you her book because it's amazing and everybody should get it. And even if you're not into memoirs, you have to pick this one up. It is A Few Minor Adjustments, a memoir of healing. She wrote about her journey from an undiagnosed illness, and it is inspirational. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. It is absolutely amazing. So please pick up her book, and I have a link at the top of my page. It should be up there somewhere. Maybe it's below this, for her Facebook page, so you can go on and learn all about her. So please do that. I love you, Sherry. You did so awesome, and I'm so proud of you. You're my inspiration. I also wanted to quickly plug another book I have here called The Way Station from my good friend, Lori. I think you're on now, Lori, so I'm giving you your little plug. And if you like the cover, I happen to have designed that. So this is a great book. It's like a suspense crime spiritual book that it just takes all these twists and turns, and it's absolutely astounding. So it's on Amazon, and you can go to her Facebook page as well, and I will put a link to that so you can have that. So I am here as part of the Grand Author Tour, but important things are happening first. The first thing is wine. So I have some leftover wine from my exciting launch party I had. So I'm going to open that because I haven't drank all day and I need some now. Oh, I've got so many fun things. Oh, I can smell my whole house is just filled with the scent of food. But first wine. All right. Oh, you're welcome, Lori, for sharing. I share your book anywhere I can. I love it. All right. Oh, yeah, Kaylin, actually, I purposely saved this. She's asking, I have leftover wine. She was shocked, but I purposely saved it for this occasion, and boy, was it hard. Boy, whew. All right, pouring a glass. And cheers. All right, so I've got other important things, lots of other important things. And I'm really, really excited about one of them. Okay, the first is my food. So I've got Arby's. I've got a nice roast beef sandwich. I can't wait to eat. I've got my curly fries. So good. And I have powdered donuts for dessert. Then I went to Taco Bell and I have a quesadilla, chicken quesadilla. And what I'm really excited about, oh my God, Taco Bell naked chicken chips. They're like little fried chicken things. And you dip them in nacho cheese. And I've never had them, but I'm so excited. So I'll let you know how they are. Let's see. Yeah. Go to Taco Bell after this is over. Don't go now because you got to watch me. And get the naked chicken chips. They are heaven. Oh my God. But plus I love nacho cheese. I'm going to sit here for the next hour and just moan over food. And you can watch me. How's that sound? Holy crap, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to keep picking out, but I am here as part of the Grand Author Tour. My book, as you probably all know, it's called Holy Crap, the World is Ending. How a Trip to the Bookstore Led to Sex with an Alien and the Destruction of Earth. And surprisingly, given that title, I've had about 4 guys read it and go, wow, I didn't know there was going to be sex in it. So, I don't know how that's possible since it's in the title, but you know, hey. So now, if you guys have any questions along the way, feel free to ask and I will answer as much as I can. So I figured what I'll do is I'll start by drinking more wine, and hopefully you all have a bottle. Lori, do you have your bottle of wine, I hope? All right, so I thought I would start by reading a quick little, the beginning of my book, in case you all haven't heard it. It's really quick. It's only like 5 minutes. I figure I better read it before I get too drunk because I have an empty stomach and wine. So here I go. All right. So this is the beginning of the book, and it's titled, What If? Hamburger Booby Traps, Rampaging Giraffes, and Toilet Wizards. That's the chapter title. What if? Ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by the unimaginable. I used to gaze at the night sky and contemplate a series of what ifs. But I'm not talking about the boring, typical what ifs, such as, what if I won the lotto? Or what if I quit my job and moved to Tanzania? I'm talking about those outlandish ones. What if I ran across a herd of 3-inch pygmy cows capable of producing solid gold milk, but each ounce I extracted took a month of my life? Would I still do it? What if we could suddenly have intellectual conversations with all animals? Would we continue to eat them? What if the whole world went blind and deaf at the same time? Would we survive as a species? Another favorite childhood pastime of mine was observing ants clambering atop one another to locate food or gather leaves, like inhabitants of a metropolis bustling to work. Ants are innately oblivious to the threat of a gargantuan foot looming over them. I've often wondered if humans would behave much the same way if the tables were turned. What if a jumbo foot came down us and squashed a city block on a regular basis? After a while, would we just shrug it off and alter course to go around it like ants do? Some people go out of their way to squish any and all bugs that come across their path. Not me. I have a strict no-kill animal policy with any type of animal. Well, that's not entirely true. I have an exception for animals I buy in the grocery store. I know this is incredibly hypocritical, but damn it, I love me some cow. Perhaps I should define my no-kill policy as not slaying a creature simply because it annoys you or simply because you can't. For example, I can't help but wonder, what if I were reincarnated as a fly in my next life? Would I appreciate getting stuck in a glue trap? Put yourself in the fly's place. You're ambling along, minding your own business, when out of nowhere, the glorious aroma of In-N-Out Burger wafts in your direction. Those freshly cooked fries and juicy burgers fill your senses with food ecstasy. Just when you can't take it anymore, a sign pops out of thin air that reads, all you can eat, free In-N-Out Burgers all day. Salivating, you charge toward the smell all excited, then bam! You step into a glue pad, unable to break free. Not only are you doomed to a lengthy, torturous death of dehydration and starvation, but your last days are filled with the constant aroma of those heavenly cheeseburgers you can never have. Not the way I'd want to kick the bucket, that's for sure. My fixation over these what-ifs is why I was so into UFOs, ancient aliens, near-death experiences, ghosts, and really anything paranormal. Truth be told, I'm not sure if deep down I believed in all these things, or if I just wanted them to be real, so I had something to hope for beyond the monotony of human life. I mean, think about it. What would be more entertaining, cleaning a toilet, or cleaning a toilet haunted by a ghost? Well, a friendly one. It might get messy if your bowl were possessed by a demon. Phantom commodes win hands down. I'll never forget the day this whole obsession got started. When I was 6, I asked my mom what life was going to be like when I grew up. She was always one for blunt honesty, and she said, well, you'll go to school for a really long time, marry a guy who'll lose all his hair, get a job you'll probably hate, have kids, get old, poop your pants, and then die. I broke down in tears. My mom ended up having regretted told me that because at the age of 7, I convinced myself that those things would never happen to me and that it was my destiny to one day rescue the planet. I am talking about a Will Smith and Independence Day style rescue, except I imagine myself with a breadstick in my mouth instead of a cigar. In one childhood fantasy, I used a butter knife and my badass Barbie mobile to defend the residents of my neighborhood from a rampaging, genetically mutated alien giraffe hybrid that escaped from a secret government lab. Side note, kids, if you ever want your mom to get fired as the president of the PTA so she doesn't embarrass you in front of your class, simply splatter your shirt with ketchup and burst into the annual teacher appreciation luncheon with a spork screaming about man-eating giraffes. Trust me, it works like a charm. This desire to be the hero had me hooked on stories where people discover they're part of an amazing new reality, a world where the impossible becomes possible. If I waited long enough, I thought maybe Hagrid and his flying motorcycle would come crashing into my bathroom as I sat on the toilet and proclaim, "You're a wizard, Autumn!" But it's one thing to dream it, and an entirely different thing to live it. Had I been smart and heeded the advice of the Pussycat Dolls when they warned us to be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it, then maybe things would have played out differently. I wished it, I got it, and now I'm about to die. Ta-da! So that's the first chapter. All right. Okay, first things first. I need another chicken. I love you, Taco Bell. Go on. Another drink of wine. Oh, this is going to be the perfect hour. All right. So, one thing that always kind of worries me about this book is I've had several friends come up to me and say, oh, as I'm reading this book, as you probably heard from the first chapter, they're like, I'm reading this book and I'm totally thinking of you. This is totally you, Anna. And I thought, oh, that's kind of fun that they're thinking of me. And then I thought, it's probably not a good idea that they're thinking of me when they get to the sex scene. So hopefully, that they'll kind of flip that switch off when they get to that point, because that would be really awkward and uncomfortable. All right, so I want to talk about a couple things here. I know it's not traditional to give, everybody like always talks about their awesome reviews they get and all that kind of stuff, which I've had some great ones, don't get me wrong. I'm very happy with my reviews, but I thought I would take a minute to read some of the bad reviews because they are hilarious. Right? I had one person named, I think her name was Jenny, and she had a reaction to my book that was just crazy. All right, so first of all, the review started out with, "Are you fucking kidding me with this bullshit?" so it's going to be good, right? So, and so this is her review because it entertains me highly because she obviously did not get my book. So here she goes. Right at the very beginning, we get eating disorders and fat shaming. For that, that's for you, Jane. I should have known. I should revisit my hard limits in books, but I haven't yet, so I kept reading. And that's when, after some major Twilight, I should stay with you bullshit, we go to the whole bit on where humans came from. Slavery, covert racism, and I shouldn't be talking with my mouth full. That's really rude. Hold on. All right. We get to the whole bit on where humans came from, slavery, covert racism, and some disgusting misogyny happened, also in the lines of Twilight. And by the time human women were being torn apart by birthing hybrid babies of pure evil because male aliens were addicted to getting off and the women of their species weren't able to make it happen, I am going over there. I am going over there to consider never reading again because there is nothing in the world that will soothe my rage if I stop and think about it too long. So, I love that so much. So apparently I have an eating disorder because the book is based on me. My really good friend Pam and we get together every, a few months or so, and we kind of like take it easy on eating for a few days, and we get together and we eat everything we possibly can shove in our mouths. Like, it's even worse than tonight. This Taco Bell and Arby's I have is nothing compared to what we managed to eat one night. So that's where that came from. So I guess I have an eating disorder. And then when she's talking about the slavery, covert racism, and all that kind of stuff, well, I don't think she realized that my book is actually based on the Sumerian tablets. Whether you believe the Sumerians, the gods, were aliens or not, that's, up to you. But it's still based on these tablets. I'm not making any things up. So what happened is that in the Sumerian tablets, the workers had an uprising, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And they were mining gold, and they had an uprising, and they didn't want to do it anymore. So that's how the human race was created. They were created to be slaves, essentially, to work in mines. So that's where that came up, but that one cracked me up. So there was another magazine in Poland, a Polish magazine called, I can't even begin to pronounce it, Artima EU or something like that, who, again, wasn't a fan of my book. And so the first line of their review is, and I don't know who Nabokov is, and this is a Google translation, so it's really rough. So it says, if Nabokov was right to say that pornography is a copulation of cliches, then here is the pornography like cholera. I guess I have diuretic pornography in my book. That's a good one. But they did have one good quote from it. It says, and I undoubtedly love, it's an undoubtedly a love poem in honor of fast food and American sweets. So I'll take that because it totally is. And then at the very end of it, it cracked me up because they said, I think Holy Crap is one of the many imitations of 50 Shades of Grey, a return to vanilla. I'm not sure because I don't know the bestseller. So essentially he compared me to 50 Shades of Grey, which is by no means vanilla, but that could be a Google translation thing. And but then he prefaces that by saying you've never read it. So my book is nothing like 50 Shades of Grey, even close. It has sex in it. I guess that's the comparison. So I'm also going to, if anybody wants to sign, like my Facebook page, go on, like me on Instagram and Twitter, and sign up for my email signups on my website, I will give you a free ebook. I'll email it to you. So if you want to do all that, I will give you a free ebook. And I have on, I think it will be the post below this, I will have links to all that. So you can just easily click on them and like them and join and my emailing list, and I will send you a free ebook. All right. So, let me look at some of your comments. I haven't looked. Oh, so many people. Hi, Kat. Hi, Lori, Kenny. Sherry, hello. So I'm gonna drink some more wine. Hi, Walter. So if you're just tuning in, this is a full hour of me talking about writing and what inspired me and all that kind of stuff. It's part of the Author Grand Tour. So I'm gonna be doing some fun little things. So I kind of wanted to talk about how I kind of got into ancient aliens and all that kind of stuff. And I got to preface this because it's kind of funny because I'm going to say 80% of all my friends are Christians. I mean, like going to church every Sunday Christians. And so when I was in college, I sat down and I'm like, okay, what if one of these religions are true? What if Christianity is true? What if Buddhism's true? Any of them are true. And I'm missing the boat and I don't get baptized or I don't do this. And then I end up going to, hell or wherever you go if, you do bad things. So I was like, crap, I better kind of look into it. So I was in Chapman University doing film and television production and theater major. And I was going to do a documentary on this. I was going to go and research all the different religions to find out which one that, was good for me. And I thought, you know what? I better start with the Old Testament. I am going to read the Old Testament, and that's the basis for the biggest religions in the world. It's a good starting point. So I read it. And my thought was, wow, God is a dick. I was actually furious when I read it. I have a different view of things now, but this is back then. I was actually furious when I read it because God was just egotistical and mean and did all kinds of just things that were like, how could this be an all-loving God that people loved and all that kind of stuff. And so I was really angry about it. And then so I kind of was like in this really dark place, and I'm like, well, I obviously got to try different religions and stuff. And one night I was listening to Coast to Coast AM, as I do all the time, and Zachariah Sitchin was on, and he was talking about the ancient alien theory, and this theory that we were seeded by an alien race, that we were created by an alien race, and they were here for millennia before, and there's all this evidence of them being on Earth, and I got intrigued by that. And then that's when I kind of started, I was reading his stuff and it was kind of complicated, and I was like, it kind of sounds a little loony. I didn't really believe it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go back and I'm going to study, because it's all about, this all starts with the Sumerian culture. It's all in their tablets and their cuneiform tablets. And so I thought, I'm going to go back and I'm going to read those tablets and I'm going to find out for myself. So that's what I did. I went and I read them, and I have, you'll see, this is Zachariah Sitchin's book, and you'll see it's very, very worn because I've read it many, many times. It's totally worth the read. It's very clinical, but it's very worth it. So I started doing research, and I have these books. There's like, this is all translated Sumerian cuneiform tablets, and I have just books and books in these that I've read over and over again about the Sumerian culture. And so I was shocked to find that, in fact, the Sumerians have so many similar stories of that are in the Bible. They have the flood story, they have Adam, they have the creation of man, they have so much stuff. And I was like, this is crazy that there's so many parallels. And I got to thinking, the Sumerians, they're way before the Bible. And I started thinking, well, why are we believing the Bible, but we're not believing these slightly different versions that the Sumerians wrote? So it really got me intrigued. So the Sumerians really talk about the creation of man. So as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if they came to Earth, they're already here. I don't know what their deal is. They're just gods that were here. They don't say really how they got here. And their workers, called the Agigi, were mining gold here on Earth, or some whatever, silver, I don't know what. The ancient astronauts say it's gold, but I don't have proof of that. So they were doing that, and they just got sick of it, and they wanted workers. So they revolted, said, you got to give us help. We're not doing this anymore. And then so they got together, Enki and Ninhursag, two of the people, the Anunnaki, created the human race. What they did is they pinched off a piece of clay, and they took some of their flesh and blood, and they created humans. And the humans, and I'm not making this up, but they're called the black-headed people, is what they were called in the Sumerian tablets. But they weren't a slave race. They don't describe them as a slave race. What happened was they mined gold in exchange for knowledge. So in exchange for learning how to do crops, a judicial system, to create cities, they were given all this in exchange for doing it. So essentially they were just paid workers. So they weren't really slaves per se. So, but what I find interesting is they also talk about Adam in there. It's called Adama, is what he's called, and he's essentially the first earthling is what he is. And so they do create him. He is the first man. So you have Adam and Adama. So you have the similarities there. But what I found the most interesting is the whole correlation to the flood story, because pretty much every major culture has a flood story. I need a drink. So we for sure know the flood happens. We have evidence of a flood. We have all these cultures talking about a flood. It's just they have different interpretations of it. So what happened is, it's just like in the Bible. What happened is the angels had the fallen angels had sex with the daughters of man, and they created giants. They beget giants. And so, and what happens is that with the Sumerian version, it's pretty much the Anunnaki, their flying angels. They were able to fly, and so the same parallels here. But the problem is the Nephilim were very evil in both the Bible, Sumerian culture. They were evil. They were giant. And what happened is the world just got out of control. There was sex and wine and just partying all the time and just evil. And so they had to be wiped out. So God, great flood. And both texts have a Noah. So the Sumerian version is Zehus Udra. I'm probably completely pronouncing that wrong, but that's their version of Noah. Same thing happened. He built a boat, built a submarine, whatever you want to call it. But the difference is where ancient astronauts differ in this is he did take one of every animal, but the way they describe it in the Sumerian text, depending on how you translate it, it's the essence of every animal. So it's not actual, they don't describe it as taking physical animals on. And so ancient astronaut theorists, really clammed on that, said they took the DNA of every animal. So whether you believe that or not or whatever, but they both have the same stories. Wiped out, Noah and his family survived, and we started anew. And both of them talk about, both the Bible and the Sumerian tablets talk about, you know, how there was other pockets of humans. Noah and them were the only ones that survived. There was, you know, other pockets of humans that managed to survive the flood. So I really started thinking like deeply about all this stuff, and I don't necessarily believe, this is where I kind of different from ancient alien theorists, is that I didn't see in all the work I've done, so research I've done, I haven't seen any proof that they're aliens. So they could very well have been an advanced species on Earth, not necessarily human, but looked just like us. They were just bigger, blonde hair, blue eyes. They all looked the same. That they just became advanced, just kind of like we are. They were able to fly just like we were able to fly. So when they talk about flying machines and stuff, nothing says to me that means they were flying in space. It just means they were flying, just like we're flying kind of in space, but we're not from another planet. So I see no proof of that, even though I want to believe it's aliens. But where was I going with this? Oh, woo, wine kicking in. Anybody else drinking? Anybody? I'm looking over here. Are you just too enthralled with everything I have to say? So they could have been an advanced species, and every indication in the tablets is that there was some kind of war, some kind of nuclear war, and there's that talk about how there's that kind of like sheet of, like, I don't want to call it, I don't know, it's like kind of glass. In the Middle East, there's like the entire place is covered with this sheet of glass which could have been from a nuclear explosion. And so I find that fascinating, that maybe it was just a group of advanced beings that were just like us we are now, which frightens me where we are now politically around the world, that just nuked themselves and had to start over. And so that's why we lost all that knowledge, because we got nuked and we kind of died out and we had to start all over again. That's why, because the Sumerians seemed to have popped out of nowhere. All of a sudden there was this culture. We went from like chicken bones and, you know, scratching things in the ground and like figuring out how to fire, and we didn't even have a wheel. And then all of a sudden we have the Sumerian culture, and we have judicial systems and domesticated animals and all this kind of stuff. They popped out of thin air. So there's stuff that's missing. There's key things that are missing. So, but I just kind of find it interesting, because all my Christian friends are like, you haven't read the New Testament. Once you read the New Testament, you'll change your mind. So I have promised to do that, and I will do it. I do believe in a God or a spiritual something or other that created us. I'm not sure about the God in the Old Testament. He doesn't seem very nice. So if anybody has any questions, just let me know. Oh, Kat had 3 IPA. You need to drink more. Sherry's drinking tea. Oh, not the same. So I thought I would talk a little bit about UFOs. Ooh, exciting stuff. Because, do I believe in UFOs and stuff? Of course I do. I mean, come on. We can't be the only ones out there. And I'm sure they visited us, but I kind of have a different take on things. So I did have a UFO sighting. I was with a boyfriend of mine at the time. We were walking on the beach in Oceanside, and he was kind of looking up at the sky, and he was like looking, and then he stopped, and he's like, "What is that up there?" And I kind of looked up, and there's like these 2 little like shiny like orb-looking things, disc-looking things, kind of like darting back and forth. And I thought, I cleared my eyes. I'm like, maybe it's like those little floaters in my eyes. He's like, yeah, well, maybe. And we kept looking at it. We're like, no, but I really see it. And they were like darting and changing color. And we're like, maybe it's a balloon, or I don't know what it is. And we're kind of contemplating it. And then out of Camp Pendleton, here comes 2 fighter jets. Whoosh, and they come flying in. These 2 little objects, whatever they are, just take off at crazy speeds in the opposite direction, and these fighter jets just like bank and turn right towards them. So I'm like, that's kind of interesting. So that was like my UFO. I don't know. It could have been Russia over here. It could have been with they always say we're 20 years ahead technology wise than what we actually see. So maybe it was, I don't know, but it was definitely unidentified. But I do get a lot of people asking me about UFOs that are interested, that don't believe, that think it's only rednecks that get abducted and see weird things in the sky and all that kind of stuff. But there is a documentary. It's called I Know What I Saw. And I have a link to it on my website if you want to go check it out. I think the full video's on there. And it gives the best UFO cases that there is, and just credible witnesses, credible evidence. It is an amazing documentary. It really looks at the facts of the situation. But my favorite case, and I'm sure Kat will agree with this, is the Rendlesham Forest incident. That is the most compelling UFO case to me because there's so many credible witnesses to that. Because what it is, the Rendlesham Forest incident it's pretty much Britain's Roswell. It's the best documented and most significant military encounter with the UFO there is. We were over there at the time. We were renting out the facility. The Air Force was, and so you have a bunch of trained Air Force observers, security police, everybody that was witnessing this UFO. And what happened is it came and they had a lot of stuff going on, but essentially the UFO kind of hovered and landed, and two of the Air Force officers came in and were kind of checking it out. And one of them, Jim Penniston, ended up going in and he touched the craft. And he started, when he was all done, he had this experience, but when he was all done, what happened is he went back home and he started journaling all of these zeros and ones. And this was in the 1980s. So, it's not like everybody knew what binary code was at that time. So he's doing all these zeros and ones in the journal, just like like Rain Man, just writing all these stuff. And then so it wasn't until later that it was actually decoded. And you can please search the Rendlesham Forest case incident online because it's absolutely fascinating. And there's just top level military professionals that witness this. It's not, Bob in the backyard drinking moonshine. It's credible witnesses that have this account, and it's documented. There's audio. There's so much stuff to this case. It's amazing. So what happened is they deciphered the zeros and ones, and it was kind of fascinating what came about. So what it translated to, I'll read it to you really quick. It says, exploration of humanity. That was the first line. Second line was a coordinate. It was a coordinate for a place called High Brazil, HY Brazil, wherever that's at. And then it says continuous for planetary advance. And they don't know what the last ones are, but it could be advancement. Fourth coordinate, continuous before. It was kind of jumbled. And then what it does is it gives a series of coordinates. One in Belize, Sedona, Arizona was a coordinate. The Great Pyramid in Giza, the Nazca Lines in Peru, a location in China, and then the Temple of Apollo in Greece. So it gave all these coordinates, and then it said the next line was eyes of your eyes, and then it gave another coordinate of Brazil again. And then the interesting thing, it says origin year 8,100. So, and I know you're like, oh, this is just made up or whatever, but it really was the actual journal in the 80s at the time that Penniston kind of just all these zeros and ones. There's documented proof of this. And then later on, the zeros and ones, a binary code was translated into our language. So it's very fascinating. But the key part of that that's interesting to me, which is where I take the whole current alien thing, is where it says origin year 8100. So there's the gray aliens, you hear all about them. They're the Roswell, they're just the bug-eyed guys, they're, everywhere. But what I think, and the evidence kind of points to that, is they're not really aliens, it's really us from the future. One theory that I don't have any proof of this, but it's one theory that I found interesting just because of current times, was the fact that we completely nuked ourselves to oblivion. People got crazy, North Korea, and just a nuclear war. It wasn't about just the basis of the nuclear war. It was just the fallout, the radiation fallout, the long-term damage from that. It almost killed off the human race. And so we evolved, 8100, that's a long time from now. We eventually evolved into what the gray aliens are now. That's what humans evolved to eventually because of the radiation and all that kind of stuff. And they come back to monitor us from the future. So I found that very interesting. So there is the theory that, you know, if you kind of take this all the way, the fact that maybe we weren't visited by aliens from another planet, maybe we haven't been, and the fact that the ancient aliens were really an advanced species before us. Nuclear war, we died off for the most part, had to start all over again. We're here now, we're about to destroy ourselves again, and we're going to evolve into the alien race of the Greys eventually. And what's interesting, there is one guy that kind of, you know, he claims, of course, I first of all, I don't believe in any alien abduction whatsoever at all. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't. Because I always say, if you ask for it, if you really beg for alien abduction, they will come, and they will come for you. And I've been outside countless of times saying, please take me away. I'm ready to go. And they haven't come for me. So if they're only here abducting the rednecks in Arkansas, then I guess I'm not good enough. And I don't know what they would want with them anyway. So I kind of find all that kind of stuff fascinating. And, you know, when you look at the state of the world today and where we're going, and, you know, what are we going to do about it? And it's just every day, I don't know about you, rather, it doesn't matter your political affiliation at all, but you wake up every day and you're like, something happens, and then the next day something else happens, and the next day something else happens, and then you forget the thing that happened before, that there's so many things happening, you know? It's just crazy, these times that we live in. They're just shocking. All right, so enough alien talk, right? Even though that's what my entire book is about the truth behind it. I am going to pillage my food, since I haven't done that in a while, and I am putting, this might be alien made, the Arby sauce, because it is, I can drink this stuff. I need to make like an Arby sauce martini cocktail. I wonder how that would be. It doesn't sound very good. Maybe not. Oh, Pam, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Aliens. Okay, so Pam, you're just tuning in. So for all of you tuning in to find out how much food I've got. So I've got, I got an Arby's roast beef sandwich. Taking a bite. Sauce dripping all over. I've got curly fries to go with it. I've got these heavenly, which I already told everybody, as soon as it's over, immediately go to Taco Bell and get their naked chicken chips. They're like little fried chicken chips with nacho cheese. I think it might be the best food in the world. Pam, you've got to go get some. They're so good. And then I got chicken quesadilla. And for dessert, powdered donuts. How awesome is that? And plus I have my wine right here. Yes, Lori. 8,000 calories indeed, and that's why I teach body combat. If I didn't teach body combat, I would be on an episode of My 600-Pound Life. So that's why I do it. All right, one more bite. If anybody has any requests for something for me to do, please feel free to type it in. I'm more than happy to oblige. Well, I'm keeping my clothes on. I won't I won't go there. So, I will do one thing. This is for Kaylin. Because Kaylin she's not used to being up this late. This is past her bedtime. She has a kid though, so she has an excuse. So, this is for you, Kaylin. I am going to, this is blasphemy for some, but it's so good. Dip my powdered donut in my wine. I don't know what it is. I did this as a joke. Right after my book launched, I did like a Facebook Live where I opened a bottle of wine that was really old and really nasty. In order to make it taste better, I had to dip my donuts in it. But I'm telling you, it is so good. It's so white trash and so good. But I'm proud to be white trash. I miss my trailer park days. I have so much good food in front of me. I hope you're all really jealous. All right. So, I thought, speaking of food, I thought I'd quickly read a tiny little section, just one more section, from my book from Costco. And this one, Pam, I don't know if you're still on, but if you're still on, totally inspired by us. And my friend Pam is actually, I don't know if she wants me to tell you this, but she's Emma in my book. She's amazing. And she inspired the character of Emma. So we go to Costco all the time. And I always like eat every single free sample there is to man. And she doesn't, because she's really, disciplined. And she'll always look at me and go, how does it taste? How does it taste? How does it taste? I always have to fill her in. So anyway, so I'm going to read a section from my book. Just a short little section. Okay, here we go. Even though I'm a huge fan and would never give up my membership, I don't think Costco is the bargain others tout it to be. Usually you get cheaper prices at Target if you compare pound for pound and factor in waste. Unless, of course, you need a silo of soda or 1,000 packets of gravy, then Costco can come in handy. I've heard a number of people spout on that gas prices are worth the membership fees alone. I call BS on that. Gas runs about 10 cents cheaper per gallon at Costco, if you're lucky. So on average, you're saving $1 per fill-up. I suppose that would be cool, except for the 45 minutes you spend in line waiting to get it. You forfeit the stupid dollar you spend idling to get the gas in the first place. Once you add the membership fee into the mix, I would argue that you're losing money unless you fill your tank every day of the week. Let me tell you, that's so true. I go to visit my dad, and he's a Costco gas freak, right? And we'll sit there, because he lives on like a little island in Gig Harbor, so there's only one Costco. And so we will sit there, no joke, 45 minutes to an hour in line, waiting for gas with the car idling. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. Okay, anyway, on with the story. That said, there is one thing about Costco that's worth the price of membership alone, the free samples. It's virtually a complimentary tapas bar, providing a multitude of scrumptious morsels. As if the management subconsciously knew the world was ending, they presented us quite the smorgasbord that day. Hot Pockets, deli sandwiches, sushi, curry chicken, turkey meatloaf, potato salad, chili, Spanish rice, jelly beans, energy bars, chocolate-covered nuts, and fruit juice. Normally, I make it a rule not to be the butthead that goes in for seconds, but under the circumstances, I didn't care. On my third trip to the Hot Pocket stand, the lady gave me a dirty look, and I almost didn't snatch another, but the gooey artificial cheese oozing from the slice made it impossible for me to resist snagging an additional helping. In the refrigerated section, we found a hidden sample station that had jalapeno soft pretzel. The wine is kicking in. That had jalapeno soft pretzel nuggets with nacho cheese dipping sauce. Score! We went to grab a box out of the freezer to take home when we discovered a plethora of new products we hadn't yet stimulated our taste buds with. In particular, there was these delectable double-fried pork and shrimp egg rolls. Yes, double-fried with a bonus layer of tempura coating. Those look so frickin' yummy, Emma said. We should get them. I kind of want them now. Feeling reckless from the knowledge of our imminent demise, I evaluated our option. An empty sampling station with a toaster oven teased me at the end of the aisle. I nudged Emma and pointed at it. She smiled in agreement. Opening the freezer, I snagged a package of rolls, and we took them over to the station. Shouldn't we put on some kind of disguise? Emma asked. She had a point. We definitely were not dressed for the part. Taking on my feet, I rummaged inside the station's cabinet and pulled out a hairnet from the depths of the cabinet. We snapped a couple on. Perfect, I said, appraising Emma's netted noggin. Not wasting any more time, we tore open the box of rolls and threw them in the toaster oven. Within seconds, a crowd buzzed on all sides of us, like a swarm of flies after a warm pile of poo, waiting to get their mitts on our precious haul. I leaned in toward Emma and whispered, I hadn't planned on sharing. Me either. What should we do? A ding alerted us that the rolls were ready, and the sound was like a dinner bell for the drooling throng. We withdrew a crispy... We withdrew the crispy deliciousness. The smell was intoxicating. The mob gathered closer, a pack of rabid dogs moving in for the kill. We do apologize, everyone, I announced. It appears these egg rolls might be defective. We need to submit them to quality control. The crowd moaned in disappointment. Em and I each wrapped a roll in a napkin and made a break for it, tossing our hairnets in a passing cart as we went. Behaving like junior high kids who had gotten away with skipping class, we giggled with pride and sprinted to the empty aisle. Hidden behind the wastelands of the toilet paper section, we chowed down at bionic speed, blowing out the heat and fluttering our hands wildly at our tongues because they were scorched by the nuclear inferno of minced shrimp and cabbage. Keeping my eyes peeled for any security on their way to nab us, I said, can you imagine having to spend our last days on Earth in jail for looting egg rolls? So that was actually inspired because, I always really thought about doing that for reals because they have those carts like all over the place. You can even grab them from the front of the store and wheel them. Then they have the microwave on them and they're all ready to go. And I thought, well, just go to an empty one, go to the freezer, pick out what you want, just start heating it up. Go, if they don't have hairnets down there, just go put some on and go to town. So I always wanted to actually try that. So maybe one day I will. All right. So I guess next I can kind of give you an update on where I'm at with the book. So I have a draft of book 2 done. Yay. So I finished that last November during National Writing Month. And right now, as some of you know, since you're also writers, it's National Writing Month again. So I plan on, fingers crossed, writing book 3 to finish off the series this month, just a draft of it. So it'll all be done and out of my head. So that's the plan, at least. So now this is the time I'm leaving for any requests that you want me to do. If you want me to sit here and eat, you have any burning questions about UFOs, about the book? Oh, I can show you the special edition of my book because I'm so proud of it. And thank you, Sherry, so much for helping me put this together. We spent hours pasting things in. So I have, in the special edition of my book, I actually have, I don't know if you can see it, Post-it notes, actual real, whoops, right, left, Anna, Post-it notes in there. Because what happens is the evil character, the evil villain, he's really nice and leaves Post-it notes in the wake of his destruction. So anytime he leaves a Post-it note, I actually have it in the book itself. So it's a lot of fun in the special edition. So that was really fun to do. And oh, there's lots of conversation going on. Let's see. Next time, Pam said, next time I need artichoke hearts, cats all. That's too healthy. Oh, titles of book 2 and 3, Sherry, that's mean. I don't know how I'm going to top book 1. I mean, it's like the best title ever. But it'll probably be something along the lines, holy crap, the world really has ended because spoiler alert, the world does end. There's no more planet Earth at the end. And that's one valuable lesson I learned writing this book is if you don't want to piss people off, don't have a cliffhanger ending. So my ending's a bit bleak, to say the least. So, but there is more, but it's just, I've already had some hate mail because of the way it ended. The people are not happy. So if you haven't read the book, spoiler alert, get prepared. All right. Man, I think my dog is barking outside like crazy. So I think we only have a couple minutes left. This has been exciting. Arby's sauce on a donut. All right, I'll do it. Okay, Lori, this is for you. Arby sauce on the donut. Ugh. Oh, I need more Arby sauce. Hold on. Caitlin, no. Oh, I'm not looking forward to this. I might hate you, Lori. Oh my God, look at that. Ugh. Here it goes. To say that was disgusting would be the biggest understatement of the century. That was, wow. When they say mind blown, I just hurt some brain cells with that. Hold on. Oh, I have something else to put in my mouth. Put some roast beef between two donuts. Oh my God. I'm gonna puke by the time this is okay. All right. I'm leaving off the Arby sauce though. Just doing the roast beef because we know how the Arby sauce is with donuts. Pam, yeah, well, yes, the chicken little, Pam asked if the little chicken chip things were crunchy, and they were when I got them 3 hours ago. They're not so much anymore, but they're still really good. All right, roast beef on a donut. I'm holding out hope that this is good. It's like the savory, sugary thing. All right. I need to take a yoga class and meditate. It's okay. All right, I'm just doing it. You know what? That is like really good. That is actually very impressively good. Who would have figured? All right, now I'm going to try, see if it works by dipping, all right, the roast beef, the donut in my wine. Triple threat. Here we go. I have to do that. So I'm thinking the next Arby sandwich has to be a donut bun with your roast beef inside. Just avoid the Arby sauce. No Arby sauce allowed because that is nasty. But donut, powdered donut even, roast beef, do a headstand. That ain't happening. I would fall over and like crack my head, and then that would be it. But I might sell books. They always say you sell more books if you die. So maybe that's the answer. Oh, it's so funny. Pam wrote au for, to dip it in. And immediately it says C translation. Like we don't know what that means. I love Facebook. All right. So I only have 5 minutes left. So unless somebody has a last minute food combo request, I've got roast beef sandwich, I've got donuts, I've got chicken, and I've got quesadilla, and I've got curly fries, and I've got nacho cheese. Ooh, I wonder what nacho cheese and donuts would taste like. Okay, I'll try it. Let's see. Oh, it broke apart. There we go. No. No, no, no. No, no. Full donut in the mouth and whistle. I can't even whistle without a donut. So I don't know how I'm going to whistle with a donut. All right. So, oh, I guess that's it. I gotta give it to the other author. There's another author coming on. Let me see. I have to look. I don't have it memorized. I'm so bad. Okay, so the next author is Sean Renee, and she'll be on at 2 a.m. Pacific time. So you guys got a big break before you watch her, and I'll post a link to her page as soon as I'm done. So Sess, you missed the fun. You just joined and you missed it all. I ate so much fun stuff. I ate a donut with Arby sauce, a donut with roast beef, dipped it all in wine, donut with nacho cheese. Missing out. All right, guys. So thank you for hanging out with me for this entire hour. I can't believe I managed to talk the entire time. That's pretty impressive. But all the food helps. So now I'm really excited to get off because I need to reheat this food and I need to pig out. So thank you all for joining, and cheers to you all. No, wait, cheers. Wait, no. There we go. No. Wait, cheers. Have a good night, you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate all of you. Bye.